What's up, everybody? RobLive here, live from Miami. No, I'm not in Miami. No, I'm trying some new looks, guys. Trying some new looks here. I'm gonna be sunglasses the whole time. Can we do? No, I can't do it.
No.
Sorry, Nas, we can't do it.
Yeah, we can't do it.
We'll reserve that for Nas. But just trying some new stuff here, folks.
It's still hot.
It's still fall. Can you?
I know.
Yeah.
Join us, please. All right, guys. I want to introduce someone. I was going to say dear friend of mine, but we're actually family.
Yeah.
I come from a huge family. So Amelia will back me up on this. Yes. I believe 14 brothers and sisters.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Our parents, her father's Tim Herrera, and then my mom's Gloria Herrera. Is Tim younger than I think my mom?
I think so. Yeah. He's 75.
So you guys can imagine the number of cousins we're talking about here.
Yes.
Guys, a lot of cousins, and they're all doing great things, but some of my cousins happen to be educators, right? My cousin Christy, and then, of course, right here with us, Amelia Herrera. How are you?
Good. Not
Thank
bad.
you for coming.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so she felt sorry for me because we're related. She's like, I'm coming. I'll show up. No, she drove from Modesto.
I did.
That's impressive. Thank you very much.
Of course. Yeah,
so I didn't say that correctly.
Oh.
Dr. Amelia Herrera.
Yes.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Are you the first doctor in the family? I think you are.
I don't know.
Wait, did Christy get her doctorate?
I don't think so, but could be. But
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't.
She's got her
doctor.
doctor, definitely from Disneyland for sure.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
She's
a doctor in Disneyland.
Yeah, and
sure.
all things Disneyland. My cousin
Yes.
Christy. Shout out to Christy. How are you doing?
That's right. Yes.
Christy Grijalva. So, where do we start? Wow.
Wherever you want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to start from the beginning.
Cool.
So, born and raised in Modesto.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Woohoo, Modesto.
so, where'd you go to high school?
Modesto High. Yeah.
Did you know early on that you were going to be an educator, or is that something that just?
I think so. So a couple of things there. So my mom was a Spanish teacher forever. So she was a retired Spanish
I think she was probably the first teacher in the whole fam, right?
Yeah, I think
that
so.
I know of.
For sure. Yeah, one of the first Latina or Mexican teachers actually in the Valle too.
Oh,
even like in
what?
Kingsburg. Yeah.
You know, I didn't know she was a teacher early on, but she always had good teacher energy.
Oh.
Like she would ask me really, like, she'd always ask questions that made me
Yeah.
feel important about myself.
Oh, that's
and I was
nice.
like, what is it about, Aunt Diana that's
Yeah.
different? And then when I found out later that she taught, I was like, there it is.
There it is. Makes sense. Yeah.
How are you, Robert?
Yeah.
I'm good."
Oh.
And she wouldn't stop there.
Yeah.
The other aunts were like, hey, mijo, where's your mom?
Right.
I love you, tias. Right, but
Yeah.
where's your mom at? Oh, she's in the back. Okay, and that was it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
she'd sit there and be like, so how are you doing in
Yeah,
school? I'm like, are you playing any sports right now?
Sure.
You are such a wonder. She would not leave without an affirmation that was
Yeah.
positive. And I'd be like, I'd be beaming.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was.
That's all. Well, even to this day, even when I told her I was coming here, she's like, "Oh no way, you're going there." I
See?
was like, "Yeah," and she's
We
like, "Well,
should
tell
bring
him
her.
I said hi and stuff." So I know she's always said though that you were one of her favorites.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we
big
get a
time.
DJ thing
Yes.
for? Look at that.
Yes.
Thank you, Tia.
For sure.
So then she kind of played a role in you getting into education.
yeah, for sure. Well, 100%. Both my parents played a huge role in me getting my education, but my mom definitely was my role model. And seeing her in her classroom and stuff like that, and how much fun she had with her students.
Yeah. Were you ever a student in her class?
No, but during 7th and 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade is always just a crazy time.
Yeah.
So of course, the one
Those
getting
middle school
bullied.
years.
Oh man! So I was like, Mom, can I go to your
You're
high
getting
school?
bullied?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, let's talk
But,
about that.
Yeah, unibrows. I couldn't shave. My parents wouldn't let me shave my legs right away. So I
Really?
was. Oh yeah, I was a mess.
And how long did
So,
that whole bullying incident?
A couple of years for sure. Yeah.
What was the advice from mom and dad?
To just try to ignore it as best I could, but that's hard. It's
Yeah.
It's tough. And
Wow.
and to be honest, I don't even know if they knew exactly what to tell me.
Yeah.
Too. So it was just kind of like I had to thug it out on my own, and figure it out. But they were comforting, of course, but I don't know. They didn't necessarily like equip me with phrases or terminology to get them to go away or whatever, and stuff. So I try to do that with my girls, even if it's just like, I know you're not talking to me or, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, something to kind of combat it. But so anyhow, not that they're bad parents, but I just don't know if they knew what to say. So
That's a different generation too. I
Yeah.
think we're much more equipped, not because we're any better parents, but we just had we had so much more information than our parents had.
Right.
Don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. So essentially because of that bullying, I would often go visit my mom at her high school.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with Modesto High. That's where she was at and stuff.
What's
and,
the mascot there?
a panther.
Go Panthers.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Modesto High.
That's right. That's right.
You were were you a Panther?
I was, yeah, class 2001. So anyhow, yeah. So I would go and visit, and I was like, this is what, or where I want to be as a high school kid. And then, you know, I saw how much, like I said, she loved interacting with her students. I saw how much they kept her young and young spirited.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, this might be it for me.
Did she ever
you know?
come home and be like, Mija, what's Riz?
Oh,
Or like,
yeah.
Did she have the slang questions?
You know what? No. Mm-mm.
She was
No,
just, I'm going to
she
be
just-
myself and use my words, and that's it.
Yeah, that was it. But I mean, definitely kind of like what I experienced and you may too, is just like when you get home, it's just like, let's just decompress for a minute.
Yes.
Yeah. So often she would always say, or was it my dad? But basically my dad never understood why she could be so tired after coming home at 2:00. And my mom's like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
We're making decisions every single second. We're like managing 1 million lives. Like there's so much going on. So, you know, mentally, we might not be physically working all crazy, but mentally it's like,
exhausting.
yeah, it's exhausting.
No, you're right.
It's exhausting. So
Jim, are you able to leave it at school, or do you bring it home? Jim's an educator, for those who don't know.
Yeah, I bring it home.
Yeah.
I like to talk about my day, especially since I've changed careers from being in the media for so long. I love coming home with the positive stories and how the light bulbs went off. You're like so happy that they understood what you were talking about, because not even my own family listens to things I bring up, and they're like,
Well, Leslie's an educator too, right?
well, yeah. She works with continuation kids and stuff online. Yeah. So
I think it really
Very cool.
helps that she can kind of relate.
it's
Yeah.
so nice now to discuss 504s, IEPs, you know, the terminology that we have, you know, some of the things that we talk about compared to
acronyms.
talking about the media stuff. She's like, okay, you got 5 minutes.
Right.
What's going on?
Yeah,
What's going on in the
it's
media for 5
same,
minutes?
Yeah, same
so-
The
level
camera
of
angle
stuff.
was off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
how funny. How funny.
Okay, so
Yeah.
your mom was able to not bring it home and
Yeah.
and just be
and she always
present.
enjoyed herself. Yeah, she always enjoyed it. You know, now it's interesting. She will say, if I got involved as much as you were involved, basically on like the political side of things, the political side of education or the advocacy.
Yeah.
She said, I don't know if I would have survived and stuff, because she's like, you do way more than I ever did. So my mom definitely left it at the school. Like she, you know, at 2:15, she shut off her day and came home and then went right back to it.
She was mom.
And she was mom, yeah. And then, but for me, that just doesn't, that's just not my world anymore. So
Okay,
for a
so
lot of things. For a
We
lot
have
of
to pick your
reasons.
brain on something.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of I think you're the unicorn in the family on this one.
Okay.
Only child.
Yeah.
So is that okay? So you ready for the stereotypes?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you dispel them. if
Okay.
not, right, Jim. Tell me if you've heard any of these. They don't know how to share because they don't. You know what I mean? Everything's theirs.
Yeah.
You have your own room. You have your own
Sure,
toys.
sure,
Maybe your
sure.
cousins come over once in a while.
Yeah. No, I know how to share.
There you go.
Yeah, big time.
It was was
Yeah.
it because you had so many cousins or what or friends, or what was your exposure to the whole sharing thing?
I don't know. I think it might have just been, to be honest, it could have just been my dad and my mom too. Talking to me, or I guess I grew up always listening to their stories about growing up with nothing and then making something out of nothing, or sharing whatever they had with their brothers and sisters, or just all of the struggles that they went through as just basically being poor Mexicans, you know, growing
in
up,
Texas
working in
and
the
coming
field,
here, right?
Texas, the discrimination and things like that. That really grounded me.
Yeah.
Big time grounded me. So it grounded me even in my thought, my thinking process. It grounded me in being and knowing how good I have it now. It grounded me in knowing that the majority of the world doesn't have it as good as me. And so that really gave me a good platform to just kind of just recognize that I just had to be, I just became appreciative of all of the
Just
things I
moving in
had.
gratitude,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%. And so it wasn't a thing to share anything I had with my friends. My best friend grew up right next door to me, and she had.
Are you guys still friends?
Oh yeah.
I
So
love
yeah,
those
38
friendships.
years later.
What's her
yeah,
name? Anna, 38 years.
Yeah, 38 years. And she's a teacher
What's up,
too.
Anna? What's Anna's last name?
Anna Hutzel.
Anna Hutzel. What's up?
Yeah,
Thank you for
hey,
being
Anna.
my cousin's
Yeah,
friend
my
for
BFF,
38 years.
That's right. And she's a teacher
Kind of like
too.
the sister, right? She took.
Oh,
She had that
yeah.
sister role.
Oh yeah, big
You
time.
told her everything.
Big time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, big time. So there's a hole in our fence. So where my parents live, and
Yeah.
then her parents, there was a hole in the fence, and we would meet at the back fence and be like, "Hey, what is your mom cooking? Or what's your mom cooking? Can I go over?" Like that kind of thing.
That was the first version of texting.
That's right. Yeah,
It was
just going through the
through the
back
fence.
fence. Yeah, and like being like, "Hey, Anna." Yeah. So.
Wow. Did you guys
Yeah.
get any trouble together?
No.
Or were you good? Were you a
we
good
were
kid?
good kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know how the cousins have their impression, right?
Yeah, right.
We always looked at you like, oh, I think she's the good girl.
Oh, yeah.
Her mom's a teacher.
Sure.
I don't think she breaks any rules.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So we
for
didn't want to
sure.
pull you in on all the bad
Oh
stuff when the family
no!
got
I would have
together.
been down. No, I would have been down 100%. I
She's
just
the
never
rat.
did.
She's the rat of the family.
Yeah, yeah, no. You know,
she never.
no, never. Not that either. I just didn't do too much.
You did well
and then
in
the
school,
things
right?
that I did, I guess I didn't get caught.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and I did, yeah. You know what's interesting though, through high school, I think I could have done better. That's a different issue too. Not issue, but self-efficacy, right? I just didn't realize how much better I could have been if I applied myself just a little bit more. And I didn't really learn that until college. Just how, I guess, good I could do if I truly applied myself. So I graduated. Not that it's as bad, because I still got into Fresno State and stuff.
Bulldogs.
With a 2.9. But, now a 2.9 is like, what? 2.9? But
At the time.
I was like, it was good enough. And so I was like, all right. But it wasn't until college where I was like, shoot, I could do better than this. And, and I did, and then just kept going after that. But.
Oh no, you kept
yeah.
going.
Yeah, no, I kept
And
going.
going.
Yeah, and going.
Every time I check on, because social media, that's where I love it. It's that connection. I'm like, damn, she's going for it.
Yeah.
And then I would see like, from one stage to the next, and I'm like, doctorate.
Yeah.
There she goes. She goes. Damn, she got it.
Yeah.
I was so excited when I read that.
Yeah.
Because we lived through you and your moments.
Sure. And likewise, I get to see all the cool things you do too. I mean, that's the good thing about that. Again, why you just said it, social media is awesome, is I could stay connected, or we could stay connected with our family and all the cool things that we're all doing without necessarily being on the phone every day or seeing each other, but it's awesome to be able to cheer for you guys,
Yes.
from my house or from my phone or whatever, but seeing all
here's
that.
the strange part, and I've mentioned this before, Jim. I don't know if you have this, but you run into some friends that you've known for a while but haven't seen in person, but they're following the Facebook,
Right.
and immediately they know all your kids.
Yeah,
and your kids are like, "Mom, how does
yeah.
how do they
does
know?"
this work? Sure.
No, they've been following you since you were born.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So I like that's really cool.
It is. I know my girls, when that type of stuff happens, or if somebody sees me, out in the public, and not that I'm anything big, but it was even if it's like a friend, but that my daughters haven't met, they're like, "Mom, you're famous." I was like, maybe not famous, but she knows me. But they know the kids, so then they automatically feel extra cool. So
That's
it's
really
always
cool.
fun. Yeah.
I have one story that I'm aware of with your father, and I don't know if he shared this one with you, Uncle Tim. I call him Uncle Tim. Her father, Tim Herrera. He was drafted
Right.
to Vietnam. Can you imagine, Jim? Getting out of high school, and now it's like, hey, you're going, and who knows if you're coming back. He got drafted, and he got so sick that he almost died.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it happened when he was there or before he was leaving, but he had appendicitis or something, right?
No, it
really
was
bad.
there. I think, to be honest, I don't know if it was there. I don't know either.
Yeah, it was either before or right after he got there.
Yeah.
And my mom had told me, we almost lost him. Because they had already lost a brother, Richard,
Yeah.
who passed.
Right.
And so but then your dad made it. Did he know your mom at that point?
No, he didn't meet her until he finally got back to California and was in the hospital.
After Vietnam.
Yeah. And my mom was his nurse.
What?
Yeah.
That's the story?
Yeah, that's the story. So my
That's
mom
beautiful.
was the nurse at Kingsburg Hospital or whatever hospital. And and my dad was sickly. My mom says that he couldn't even squeeze an empty beer can. That's how weak he was when she met him.
And so she was his nurse.
She was his nurse,
Nursed him
and then
back to health. They fell in love.
and they fell in love. And I think your mom and I think Tia Lily, like they really liked my mom for some reason and stuff. And so they kept on being like, "Hey Tim, like talk to her,
talk to the nurse."
yeah, talk to the nurse." But what's funny is that because her and my dad met, she ended up flunking out of nursing school. So anyway, but became a teacher instead. So
she
it worked
found her
out. It
calling.
worked out. Yeah.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
So then you get through high school. Now, the high school years, were you with your best friend? Did you guys?
No, we went to two separate high schools. Yeah, but she lived right next door, so I had her all the time.
What were you involved in? High school
everything's well, maybe not everything. I'm thinking.
Did you do the sports side?
Yeah.
What was your sport? Softball.
Yeah, softball was my sport for sure.
And then, did you do any of the clubs or band or anything like that?
Yeah, so like the Latino, the Hispanic Latino club.
Was it Mecha back then, or what was
there was Mecha, and then there was HYLC, so the Hispanic Youth Leadership Council had a.
Oh, I
like
haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, had something. I belonged to the BSU back then. What else? Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know how much I did, to be honest. Like, I feel like high school was just like, I don't want to say mediocre, because I wasn't mediocre, but I could have done more and I just didn't. I think it wasn't until college that I was like, all right, I got my stride a little bit.
What was it about
confidence,
college, though, that really turned it around for you?
I think because I just gained more confidence in myself.
You were on your own. So I'm sure you moved from Modesto to Fresno.
Right.
Are you in the dorms or where are you at?
Well, the first semester I actually was living with my grandparents in Kingsburg because I.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Commuting.
Commuting. Yeah. So I couldn't get into the dorms the very first semester, so I lived with my grandma and grandpa, and then the second semester I was able to get into the dorms. So.
Had you lived with them before?
No.
Was that different?
Grandpa,
I'm home.
Yeah, it was only because my grandma, would wait up for me. Not that I would be late or anything, but she would wait up all the time and just, and I'm like, Grandma, you don't have to wait. Or like I have a night class. It's okay, mija. Like I'm right here, and she'll be dozing off, and I'm like, Grandma, go to sleep. But it was awesome because I got fed hella good. Yeah, that was the best. It was interesting though too. She revealed to me. So for a long time, or actually I should say this, like towards the end of my grandma's life, she forgot, quote unquote, how to cook. Okay. And so, it was like a tragedy for all of us because she was like this bomb, amazing cook.
I remember her chicken enchiladas.
Yeah, and her tortillas. I'm just like, my mouth waters every time I hear them. Hear about it or think about it. But anyhow, so one day I had come back from school and there was just this feast on the table. And I was like, what's this about? Like, who did this? And she's like, shh, don't tell your grandpa. And I was like, oh, okay. So she's like, hurry up, mija, eat, and then we'll take it to your tia's house. Because she didn't want my grandpa to know. All of those years, he just never really was appreciative. So she's just like, forget it. I'm going to play dumb. I'm going to play like I forgot. And so she did. So anyhow, she made this feast and for me, and that was it.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't get to know grandma like that.
Yeah.
And no fault of her own. She had a bunch of grandkids.
Right.
14 brothers and sisters, all with kids, right? So we were kind of like a overstocked class, you don't get to know them all.
Yeah, you don't get to know. Yeah, sure.
And you're up to here because you're cleaning and poor grandma.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm glad to hear these stories about her, and I know my mom would love to hear those stories too.
Yeah.
You're watching, right, Mom?
I'm talking about my mom's parents.
Oh, your mom's parents. I was thinking grandma.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey.
No, I wish I would have had. No,
oh, okay.
I
don't think I've met your mom's parents.
Yeah, they're cool.
And they're in Kingsburg.
But they're of course since passed. But
okay.
But yeah, so I live with them. That's where I was at. Yeah. But I do regret though, again, not being, so my parents, I think, were some of the only people that moved more north, and everybody else, all of our cousins pretty much stayed around
the valley,
here. Yeah. And so, there is a little bit of a regret, on my part that I couldn't be closer to you guys and get that experience or even get to know.
We'd see you at funerals and weddings and quinceañeras.
And that's it, right? And it's like, that's not enough, but, and then again, the regret of just not being able to know, Yeah, our grandma and grandpa, the grandma and grandpa would
Yeah, yeah,
share,
yeah.
so that sucks because, but I will say my dad is a great storyteller, and
Yeah, he shares them.
yeah, well, since I was little, he would share stories about him growing up and stuff like that, and all of it from Texas to all the way to California, and all of his shenanigans, and how his mom with, again, making the tortillas, but the minute she'd make a stack, they'd be gone,
Yeah.
because of all the kids and stuff like that. So,
So at what point did you start building a family? And you have 3 beautiful girls.
Yeah, kind of.
Was that after
I feel
college
like
or
early.
in college? Were you in college?
So basically, it was like the summer right after I graduated with my bachelor's degrees from Fresno State.
Yes.
And then
Did you meet their
got
father
pregnant.
at Fresno State?
I did, yeah. He wasn't going to Fresno State, but I met him while I was at
Oh,
Fresno
okay.
State.
I see.
Yeah. So anyhow, yeah. So basically, the summer before I started my credential program, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter. So and I remember thinking, but
And she just started college,
and she just
right?
started college. Yeah, she's at the University of Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She's a rainbow warrior.
She's a rainbow warrior. That's right. So she's studying molecular biology. So
What?
I know she wants to do, I guess, genetic engineering, basically. Yeah.
Man.
I know.
Going
So,
for it.
Yeah. But
Love that.
but yeah. So I started that early, and I think
Do you feel like that was early?
I do. I think, yeah.
How old were you?
I was 22 when I got pregnant and 23
Okay.
when I had her. And so it's not like, crazy young.
Yeah.
But I think now that I'm 41 or whatever, I was like, dang, like I was a baby. Like, you don't, back in college, I remember even thinking like, oh, okay, I'll get married at like 22 or 23 and blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
have a baby. Or actually, I might even said have a baby by 23. And it actually came true, but it wasn't necessarily on purpose.
Yeah.
And but again, in retrospect, and now just having a broader perspective, older perspective, I'm like, man, that was young. But yeah, but it worked out. I mean,
Yeah.
she's 18, she's cool. I'm still young, so
Yes.
it works out now. But back then, I think,
Did it feel a little overwhelming having that?
yeah, it felt, I don't know. No, maybe not. I had great parents, or my parents are
Oh, yeah.
wonderful. So their support was amazing.
There.
But I just think now, I don't think I was overwhelmed, but I just think about, had that not happened, or had my brain been in a different space,
Yeah.
I could have done more or traveled more, or I don't regret anything.
Yeah.
And nothing like that, but I just think like, oh shoot, like this, it doesn't have to happen this way. And so I don't, maybe that's more of the messaging, I guess. It's just like, even with my girls, like just wait, like, you
Yeah.
don't, babies and families will come, like, but do you and get your stuff straight, and handle your business and do the things you want to do first,
Yeah.
and you don't need to have a baby.
I've always heard people say, I don't mind the life that I have now. I wish it happened later in my life.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because,
exactly.
I mean, the kid blessing, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
all of these kids that we have are
For
blessings,
sure.
but sometimes
For
the
sure.
timing is kind of what we want
Yeah.
to structure. I think I was in
Although-
my 30s, mid 30s.
Yeah.
We started having children.
Yeah. That's a good age.
When did you have your first kid, Jim? The kid?
How old were we? Or
yeah, McKinley.
Oh shoot. It was 06. 04.
Okay.
So yeah.
So 30s?
she's- Yeah.
So she's
In her
like
30s,
20.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But when my wife and I were dating, we were more on like, do you have your crap together? Do I have all my
Yeah.
stuff
Such-
together? Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are such
she had
great conversations.
Yeah, We're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
she's like, I ain't supporting you. You better
Yeah.
have your stuff together.
Right,
So
right,
yeah,
right,
and
right.
she was a challenge.
Wow.
Sure,
Yeah. So it was more of someone I wanted
Great
to be with.
conversation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've always been
That's
like
awesome.
overly, I think just emotional. Sorry. I love you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're not talking about jobs. We're not talking about
Yeah.
careers.
Didn't
We're not
work out.
Yeah,
Right,
whether you have it together
right.
or
Love
not.
is enough. Yeah.
I love you. That's it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're
No.
16. I don't care.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
I know, yeah. No.
You tell these young kids nowadays, it's like, slow down. You got your whole
Right.
life
You have
to.
your whole life. I know.
I was that guy.
True.
Just in love with the idea of love.
Yeah, sure. And then, too, I feel like the Herreras have big hearts also. So
Yeah.
like we wear our hearts on our sleeves, I feel. And
Yeah.
so, that played into a part, or just, yeah. And then also hoping for the dream. Plus seeing my parents, they've been married now. I think it'll be like 54 years or something like that.
Yeah,
in
that's a
June.
beautiful
And,
example.
and so
for
I
you.
just kind of thought, was naive in a sense of to think, oh, when you fall in love, it's gonna be that way, or whatever, and not
Yeah.
really thinking of all of the details that can make or break, something. So,
And I think that sometimes there are certain situations where not knowing any better actually is to an advantage. Because if you're not aware of the obstacle, sometimes your mind doesn't manifest it as an obstacle.
right.
It's like, oh, statistically, if you get married at 20, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't know that statistic, you're just like living and trying to make it
sure.
happen.
Right.
And then you end up 50 years later, go, oh, I guess we did defy the odds.
Yeah.
Odds that we didn't realize even existed.
Right.
They say sometimes it's better to be ignorant of the reality.
Sure.
than
Innocence
to-
is bliss.
Yeah, because then you overthink it, and
Right.
it's like, oh, statistically, we're 5 years.
Yeah.
In 7 years, we're going to hit the 7-year itch, and
But is that still today's world, though? I mean, to some degree, you're kind of you're in our generation, so we're in our 50s, but it's almost like the newer, we're educators. So the kids that come through our school now, you're like, gosh, I could see them being a statistic. They're already at that age that it's before the moral was you get married, then you have kids and move on and have your career. Now it's almost like your kids are helping you support a family and living and all that stuff. It's everything's kind of changing.
yeah.
So before it was like, nope, you can't do anything until you're married.
Right.
And now it's like, oh, prom night. All these things happen, and then, oops. Now it's almost accepted. Because it's kind of the new not trend, but more of the new acceptance.
In the reality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think there's also, each personality is different in terms of what triggers you to like set you in motion, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Right. When I think back, my wife, Pearl, she always says, hey, that first kid, you grew up a lot. And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, yeah, no, the pre child Rob and the post child Rob are two different people. She's like, out of that pre guy, I don't know how long he would have lasted with my life.
Yeah.
But she said as soon as I saw him, and all of a sudden I went into father mode.
That's awesome.
That I became a different person.
Yeah.
And so
That's
everybody
great.
has that pivotal moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
You hope it's sooner rather than later. But what was your pivotal moment to say, hey, I think I'm going to embrace this and make it and just be the best person possible?
Yeah.
What was your turning point? Because you say you kind of slid through high school.
Yeah, I slid through high school, but So to be honest, when I met my first ex-husband, so I don't know why I wanted to impress him. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I guess why wouldn't I? I guess at that point, but and I thought, oh my gosh, okay. If he sees how smart I am, he's just going to like me that much more. I don't know. So it was like, that was a part of it, but I'm not sure why. It wasn't like he was a genius or something. I was trying to impress him. But I feel like that was like a part of me really wanting to just do extra better. I don't know why.
So that was motivating.
So it was motivating for me for some odd reason. But prior to even meeting him, though, I was still handling my business and stuff in college and doing really well and getting involved a lot with the student union at Fresno State. And so I was involved heavily. But then after, I would say, due to staying with him and then recognizing that he wasn't necessarily going to step up his game after we had this little girl, that's what gave me a lot of that umph to just be like, all right, well, cool. This is going to be it. It's going to be me. I'm going to be the one to primarily support her. It's going to, this is it. And so I'm going to have to do something to ensure that we're okay, So again, thankfully I have my parents, but that wasn't anything I would ever consider my fallback. Like, oh, I'm just going to have my parents help me. Like, no. Yeah. So it was just recognizing that my ex-husband wasn't going to do what he needed to do to help us advance or to help us financially. And so then it was like, all right, well, I guess it's on me. And so that's what really got me going into just being a hustler, I think. But then too, what also continued that wave was working with the student population that I work with. So since all my students are newcomers from all over the world, many of which, at least 60%, have experienced some sort of war-torn or war experience or just displacement and a bunch of things. So when they came into my classroom, essentially as teachers, we're the front line. So we're the people that see the kids, that interact with them the most, that see their good days, their bad days and stuff. And so there was a point where I was like, shoot, I really need to learn how to be the best, I guess, receiver of this information as possible. Meaning like whatever the kids tell me about their experiences, I need to be equipped with how to work with it and how to, I need enough background to help guide them or to reframe the situations. And so that's what prompted me to go back to school to get my master's degree in counseling.
So you were teaching and then went back to school.
And then I went back to school. Wow. Yeah. So because I was like, there's a need here. Yeah. And because of mental health being such a stigma and across so many communities, I was like, they're comfortable with, my students are comfortable with me. And so let me go ahead and get as equipped as possible so that I could have the tools and resources to be able to feed back to them or give back to them immediately, instead of having to refer them out to, mental health services. And chances are, their parents or guardians may not sign that. Yeah, they're the waivers.
There's a lot
and
of follow through.
There's a lot of follow through. Yeah. So
if you can be the one in the classroom.
Exactly. So,
that's smart.
So that was my thought about getting my master's degree. Yeah. And I think that was, getting my master's degree was like a huge moment, I think, in my life. So I graduated with that in 2012. And I think I felt more popular. Oh my gosh, more not popular.
You can be popular too.
I could be more popular. That's not what but more. What was it? Just I guess confident, prepared. Yeah. What was the P? Why did I get that word in my head? But more powerful. Yeah, powerful. And
you were empowered with this new information on how to. When they came to, because I don't know, Jim, if this happens to you, but sometimes the kids will just drop a bomb on you. Mm-hmm. Hey, my parents are out of the picture. Right. I'm staying with grandma, and I might go into the foster care system soon. Yeah. What should I do, Mr. I?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm bringing this up because 2 years, was it a year and a half ago? Mm-hmm. I had a kid from Ukraine. Okay. And I have in my class, I teach broadcasting. Right. So in my class, I have television and news and, NBC, Fox, all these different stations up on. And he was focused on the war and everything, on the top stories that were going on. And then he would ask me, like, it's much broken English as he could, like, can I use my phone? And he was immediately calling and Facebooking his friends that were over there. Right. And it was like school was not important to him at all. Oh, he just wanted to focus on what was happening over there. Sure. Yeah. So
yeah, that's a lot. A lot of those cases are in my classroom across the world, different, and so, so that definitely going back to school and getting some of these tools helped me to just even to know kind of how to even plan, like what types of activities could not only help them increase their English language level, but then also be in a way therapeutic, right? So to just help them kind of grapple with some of their experiences. But in general, that master's degree made me feel more powerful, probably more than when I graduated with my doctorate. And
more than that?
Yeah. And I think it was just because it was almost like the first hurdle that was like extra. So it's like, not that everybody gets their, a degree, a college degree. And I knew that, but it was like, okay, those are definitely, in my head, it was like, those are definitely so much more easier to obtain. Yeah. So like getting a master's degree for me was like, whoa, like, if I could do this, like, okay, this is it. And so
what else can I do?
Yeah. What else? Yeah. Like I could conquer the world. I really felt like I could do anything. Like I felt so cool. And so, definitely in 2012, when I graduated, I felt bigger and badder, than I did in 2018 when I got my doctorate.
Wow. So, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of us having kids in our class at some point from another country. Yeah. We start to have this new perspective where it's like, okay, I have first world problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And it's almost a luxury that I can be concerned about the things I'm concerned 100%. About. Right. Sometimes Jim and I will have these first world conversations and I'll be like, Jim, my son's walking away from baseball. My world is over.
Yeah.
Right. And he'll talk about his tennis concerns and we'll be like, well, I've got this kid in my class. He's just happy to have clean running water. Right?
Yeah.
Perspective. Big time.
Big time. Oh yeah. I mean, my girls though, like, I'm like, okay, if they complain about something, okay, yeah, but do you know that there are some kids right here that aren't
Yes,
even living
Mom.
with parents that, they're not
Yeah.
even living with their parents. They're living with people that don't even like love them, know them. They just met them yesterday,
Yeah.
or whatever. And they're treating them like servants or whatever the case. Or did you know, you think that you have it bad, but so-and-so,
Yes.
their entire family got blown up in front of them, and and okay, mom, and they're not saying okay, mom, to the kids incident, but they're just like, we hear this all the time because I really do try to transfer that experience or the experiences I learned from the kids, and I try to tell my girls because again, that just like us in a sense, right? They're only dealing with first world problems, and so their perspective is still generally very small. Of what problems can really look like. So I try to tell them, but then I probably over tell them. But
Yeah, no, that's just part of being a parent.
It is. Yeah.
Do you do that, Jim? You're like, okay, girls.
Yeah, and they get tired. They're like, well, even growing up. Well,
Yeah.
back in the day when we did this,
Sure,
old school, they don't want to hear it. They're like, no. So we didn't have phones. Yeah, we know that already. We didn't have Google. We had a phone book.
Yeah.
And I think you got to find that balance between, I'm not minimizing your reality.
Right.
I'm just trying to give you perspective.
Right.
Because I feel like sometimes when I was growing up, right, my reality was minimized because my parents' hardship was just ridiculous compared to mine.
Sure.
Hey, did you go to Vietnam? Well, no, Dad.
Yeah.
So you're getting bullied, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I got shot at.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay.
How do you combat that?
You don't.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want your kids to feel like their reality is not valid.
Right.
So it's that balance, right?
It's a balance. It's a consistent
Because they want to be validated.
Of course.
And here's the other one. Because you're all here. I'm like, oh, I got you here.
Yeah.
How about this one? Trying to give my classes all I can and yet still have enough energy for my kids at home. And sometimes the kids might get a little resentful, like, Dad, you go all out, for these students. And you don't have any energy left for me.
Yeah.
What kills me is both my kids. I have one that just graduated. She started college, and I have a sophomore this year. And they're always like, I worked all day.
Yeah.
I've been at, now we did this. We woke up early. We had to go to work. And their attitude is more like, yeah, and so did I. I was at class all day. I was at this, and it's like. You try to justify
Apples
it,
and oranges.
and you're like, oh, they don't understand that work compared to you have to get up. Well, you have to too, or we don't have food or whatever. So yeah, they don't get it.
They don't. But I feel you though and I have to check myself a lot with the amount of energy I put towards all of the work that I do versus the amount of energy I put to the girls, because I'm advocating for everybody else's child all the time, even on my free time. And it's like, okay, and of course I'd advocate for my daughters too, and I have in a million ways, but just in terms of like the time and the investment in time, it's like, ooh, wow, okay, wait, am I putting as much like attention to them as I am everybody else's child? And of course, there's some days where I'm just like, yes, and then there's other days where I'm like, oh, I don't know, I got to really check myself.
I'm going to share a story with both of you. I don't know, Jim, if you've heard this one, but in the NFL, right? If you win the Super Bowl, you get this trophy called the Lombardi Trophy.
Okay.
Right? It's named after one of the greatest coaches of all time, Vince Lombardi.
Right.
So I'm watching his documentary, right? And as I'm watching the documentary, he did all these great things. And they said, man, he treated all his players like they were his sons, right? And then they interview his biological son, right? Vince Lombardi Jr. or something like that. I can't remember his name. And you could tell that he's trying to like not throw his dad under the bus, but he's like, so, how was he as a father? He said, well, my father did a lot for his players. And, unfortunately that didn't leave a whole lot of time or energy for home.
Sure.
Right. And I heard the same thing about Cesar Chavez. Cesar Chavez did so much for the farm working community. Yeah. But then you see the interviews with the son. He say, hey, and again,
Dolores Huerta también.
Not trying to throw their dads under the bus, but you could just read between the lines and you'd be like, my dad did a lot for farm workers.
Right.
So how was he as a father? well, my dad did a lot for farm work. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, sure.
But his energy was somewhere else.
Right.
And it's almost like we need some of these great people to like make that ultimate sacrifice that the family, the personal life is all going to have to be set aside because whatever they're taking on is so consuming. And you want to honor that sacrifice, but at the same time, you ask yourself, would I be willing to give up that much to be that person?
Yeah.
Because the world will take it from you.
Oh yeah.
Well, it makes you think about the phrase, how was it? I'm going to say it wrong, but the will of the many outweighs the need of the few, or whatever it is, right? It's what's more important. But you're like, but the need of the few, the sacrifice, is it worth your family if they're the few? Is it worth the sacrifice? So
that's definitely a constant battle.
Yeah.
Because even actually I was thinking about it because my oldest daughter grew up just playing every sport imaginable and doing all these after school things.
I saw that, yeah.
Stuff like that, right? And my little girl's not so much. And a part of it, COVID kind of put a halt to things, and then they never picked stuff back up. But then I realized also with the pivotal role that my dad played and my oldest daughter playing all of these sports. And half of the time he was her coach. So for 100% of the time, he took her to practices, right? Where it left me open and able to continue my education or teach. So I teach now. I teach at the college too. At the
what?
Yeah, and so yeah.
You're a college professor.
I am.
Oh, can we get a doctorate college professor? I didn't know all this.
Yeah, yep. And
which school are you at?
So CSU Stanislaus or Cal State Stanislaus. Yeah. So I teach in the bilingual teaching credential program.
Man.
Yeah. So,
you got a lot going on.
A lot going on. So that's 2 nights a week. Thank you. And then I supervise teachers getting their credentials. So anyway, the point being is that after school, I can't take my girls to practices or whatever. And so now, because my dad is older and he's got some health problems, he can't either. He stopped coaching a few years back.
Yes.
And so it wasn't until just in the last year or two that I realized, oh dang, like I didn't, again, I've always, of course, thankful for my dad and all of the stuff that he's done, but I didn't realize how vital of a role he played.
Yeah. Was he sort of like a father figure, you would say?
All day. Yeah.
And as far as the girls' fathers, what was their role?
When so my oldest daughter had her dad longer. So it's all my girls are from my first husband.
Yeah.
Shamari. I don't know if I should say his name. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. So anyhow, but he was there probably up until Lola was about 7, like solidly.
Yeah.
And he played a decent role. I mean, he was a better father than he was a husband. It's not convincing. I'm just trying to think. Yeah. But then pretty much after the twins were born, it was when he pretty much left or just wasn't in a good state of mind to where I ended up having to let him go, make him go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, it wasn't, when he started becoming a liability is when I was like, okay, we got to cut this off. But
how did the girls take it?
So the little girls, were babies. They never really knew him anyway. So the twins who are 11 now, they don't really even know the difference. So my dad has always been their dude,
Their guy.
Yeah, their guy. And then my oldest daughter, I think when she saw kind of his downfall or a kind of a spiral. Yeah. And so it was kind of by the time that I ended up being okay, you got to go or whatever, it was she was ready to, cause she had seen, just the chaos and the up and down, the ups and downs. And then, but also, and I guess, my dad has always been a solid constant. And so she never felt that she was lacking anything because my dad was always right there. So, so it still hurt her, but I know, it still hurt her for sure. And I know she's even now to this day, she, we talk a lot about it and
That's
stuff
good
that
you have those conversations.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of, my daughter and I have a lot of open conversations about a lot of things. And
That's
stuff.
good.
Yeah. And then she's, again, as she gets older, she becomes more cognizant and aware of stuff. And and then, you know, comes to her own realizations and is also vocal with him too. You know, she even told him more recently that she was happy that the little girls don't know him nearly as well, because then he can't disappoint them as the same way that he disappointed her.
So let me ask you this as a mother. It seems like a lot of that time was as a single mother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How did you keep the dialogue open with your kids? Because I'm sure they had those years where they were more to themselves.
Sure.
What did you do to keep that dialogue open for them?
So again, the little girls were little. So they weren't really. I mean, of course, and I'm not to downplay little kids, because of course they experience things, but they weren't really dialoguing about his absence or anything.
Yeah.
And my oldest daughter was and stuff, and I think it was just telling her the truth that was appropriate for her age. You know, just how he's just not in a positive state of mind. To where he can be a good person in your life at this time. And not that he doesn't love you, because he does, but he just doesn't know how to show it right. And he can barely show it to himself, and, you know, stuff like that, because it was tough.
Don't you
know?
Jim, tell me what you think about this. Cause I know for me, I have this mental timeline for when I'm going to have certain conversations.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. I just recently spoke to all of my kids. My daughter is 12, almost 13 now. The boys are teens. And we just recently had conversations about the history of mental and sexual abuse that happened in my family on my dad's side. And I just didn't feel like they could process those conversations earlier. And the kids it's never early enough for them. Why didn't you tell me? I said, hey, I just wanted to wait for the right time for you to know. You know, certain things, so that you can look for those signs in your own life, etc. Did you guys kind of have a timeline for when you wanted to have certain conversations, or was it just organically revealed?
I think it was organically revealed, and then I think when I started, I guess I remember telling my daughters, or my oldest daughter, more specifically, was like, what you are seeing of me and your father's relationship is not the example. We are the non-example.
Which is hard, because they're like, well, then mom, why are we living this?
And so that brought up like, so then, why are you here? And I'm like, well, because a part of me it's hard to let go, or I'm still trying to pull for the what is it? I guess the normalized family. Like that's still, and not until recently did I realize, like, shoot, me and my girls, we are a family. And I'm gonna like start crying, but my little girl, one of my twins, was like, Mom, but we don't need so-and-so. We are a family. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And I think for so long, again, especially coming from having parents that have been married forever, just thinking, okay, in order to have a family, I have to have some sort of...
It has to look a certain way.
It has to look a certain way and have a certain partner. And so that was always my strive, is to like, okay, we're going to, and I keep on using the phrase thugging it out, but meaning like, okay, we're going to push through, we'll figure this out, or I could just deal with this, or I could try to get him healthy, or da-da-da. And like I said, that's why when it started to become a liability for myself, for my own financial sanity, for, everything, then it was just like, okay, I have to cut this off. But it was really for the preservation of the preservation of what I thought in my head was what was a family, is what kept me in a situation far too long. Yeah.
No, I've heard that so many times. Yeah. And I'm sure, Jim, you've heard this as well, where one partner or the other will just say, hey, kids, I was just trying to keep the family together. Yeah. For better or for worse. Right. And then the kids are always quick to be like, no, we were way better off without this person. Sure. But it's a different perspective. For them, they're just like, hey, we just want to get rid of the toxic environment. Right. And for you and myself, whoever, it's like, hey, we just want to keep this unit together because we think that's what's going to benefit the kids more. Yeah. And almost every time I've heard the kids like, no, you could have really let that go. Yeah. We were good.
Yeah, we were good.
It's like,
sure. And
lesson learned.
Lesson learned. And then just again, like a lot of self-reflection, I've always been a person that reflects on a lot of things, or just taking the time. Like actually when I water my plants, I do a lot of thinking and stuff. And so it's just, wanting to, just to make sure that I stopped showing my daughter the non-example. I'm like, okay, so here it is. I'm telling her that we're the non-example, yet I'm continuing in this. And what is she learning from me? But to stay, even if something's not right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, wait, that we got to cut that off, because I can't be, showing them that they need to stay in essentially a really bad situation for the sake of, looking like a family. I would always say that our family was like a Monet painting. From a distance, it's beautiful, right? We have a beautiful house, we have beautiful cars. We're not ugly folks, necessarily, right?
Yeah.
Superficial. I mean, that's superficial, but literally superficial, right? It was very
Yeah.
superficially beautiful, but then you get closer, and then you're like, oh shoot, there's a lot
Yeah.
going on in there. Or,
Well, from the
you know.
outside looking in, I was very surprised when I had found out that the marriage didn't work and the
Yeah.
family wasn't working. And I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
because here's the deal too. We would see you, for an hour or two
Right,
at
right.
this reunion, at
Right.
this wedding. I had met your ex-husband, and everything seemed fine.
Yeah.
And little do we know, right?
Yeah. And he's a great person.
Yeah.
Like great guy. Everybody loves him.
Yeah.
But he's just not a great partner.
It's a
or
different
dad.
dynamic.
It's a different dynamic. Yeah. So, and then I too, his mom was, I realized again, later after stepping away and doing reflection, that she was really coaching me. So I always would equate her as helping me to grow up. So my mom, she taught me a million things, but my former mother-in-law really helped me to become the woman I am in terms of
Really?
strength and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah. But then
What a unique source for that to come
yeah. So I love her. I still love her. But when I started to just kind of lose I don't want to say respect, but just was just feeling sad about, I guess, our relationship, was when I realized she was coaching me into learning how to stay in this bad marriage, but being okay by myself. Because she would always say, Amelia, get your money right, get your degrees. You don't stop getting your education. You keep going. You make you okay. But I never got any advice of how to get strong enough to leave a bad situation. And it's because she's kind of in the same situation. So she's this powerful person. So she's retired deputy sheriff from Santa Clara County.
Oh, wow.
Did her own thing. But then her husband, just not as supportive as he could be. Right.
Yeah.
And so kind of, he really not necessary. He doesn't even, I don't know how to, I'm trying to be nice about it, but saying it, but she was coaching me in how to live her life. And I'm like, I don't want to be in a loveless marriage, or I don't want to have some guy that's not offering or adding value to our family just for the sake of being married. And so when I realized she's literally coaching me in how to be okay with me, but also in order for me to be okay having this dead weight essentially too. So I was like, oh, that's not good advice. So
Wow.
yeah.
Jim, how long were your parents married for?
That's a good question.
30, 40?
No, it was about 49 years.
49 years.
Yeah. Yeah. They just passed. Well, she passed away in August.
Yeah.
And June. And then my dad passed away 10 years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah. But he was 9 years older than her.
Wow. Okay.
I just feel like it's so important to see that example, right? And it can play one of two ways.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to work for this thing no matter where it goes and see it through.
Right.
And then other times it's I don't have the mindset to walk away because I just seen people stick it through and it might work out better for us.
Right.
And my experience was, my parents did get divorced when I was about 15. And I tell my students at school it was the darkest year of my life. Even though it was a toxic environment and they were, better off not together, there's just this instinctive thing where you just want your parents to work out.
Yeah.
And they don't. And again, I had that conversation with my mother. I said, Mom, how did you guys, how did you come to this conclusion that after all these years, you were going to go your separate ways? And she said, I just realized that, we didn't have to be together to still be a family or good parents to you guys.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That, that made sense. And then, she moved on. My father moved. They're both remarried.
Right.
But, as a child, I remember how that would affect me. And I'm sure, you thought about that as well with your girls when it was time to contemplate.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. Because it was, and then it was also, too, protecting him and also protecting the community, because so Black man and he is a Black man. He's not dead. He is a Black man. So I didn't want our family or him to become another, statistic, or for people to be like, oh, see, like I was so protective I am still very protective of that community of people, that I just didn't want another layer or reason for anybody to just look negatively upon that community. And so that was actually that played a big piece too, because I was like, all right, we are one of very few, or there's a lot of Black folks in Modesto, but and at least in a I guess like sociopolitically maybe level of society, I don't know. I'm like, you're
very
like,
visual.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I just didn't want us to not work out either, because I didn't want for there to be any space for anybody to talk crap about Black people, to be very, very honest with you. So I stuck it out a lot because of that. But then, like I said, when it started becoming a situation where he was becoming a liability on me, that's when I had to cut it off. But that had a lot to do with it too. It's just not wanting to add into people's unfortunate negative, and even though they're not based on facts, a lot of times just
Assumptions.
Assumptions,
Perceptions.
Perceptions. I just didn't want to feed into those. Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
So
a lot of factors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the viewers right now who are watching and going through something,
Yeah,
maybe they're trying to leave a relationship that may no longer serve both.
Right.
What would you say? What would you advise them in terms of getting the strength to go in their separate ways?
Yeah. To getting your mental health, I guess, stronger, really trying to pour into yourself. So whatever it is that you like to do, or they like to do, or to really go after that, go into it. I know for me, I always thought, when I'm going through something tough, exercise and learning something new was always the thing that kept my brain going. So, because, just exercise, whether it's learning something new or doing a different exercise, the challenge of, improving on whatever it was physically, that always kept me going. And then also the stimulation of learning something new, I think kept my brain not so much, not processing, because I definitely process through my emotions, but it kept me stimulated to where I was excited about something else. So like it kind of in a way diverted my attention, but all the while, don't be afraid to like really dig into yourself too, and get to the root of where pain is.
That's scary.
It's scary as hell, but it's absolutely necessary, because that way you end up you're not repeating your patterns, or you're not projecting some of these nasty things onto people or behaviors. But
were you walked through this process by a therapist, or how did you get through it?
No. I don't know. I think the counseling degree kind of had like, had a baseline, had a base of, in terms of like social emotional things, right? And how to kind of work through those social emotional things. But actually, to be honest, I was at one of a nonprofit organization I run. We have a yearly conference. And
you have a nonprofit, right? What is it called?
The United Black Student Unions of California.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're like the governing body of the BSUs all across
around
California.
We have a BSU at our school.
Yeah,
I
you
wonder
guys
if we're
should
affiliated.
Come. I don't know. And
I don't.
Yeah, we have to, because we're having a conference at CSU Bakersfield in October.
Oh,
yeah.
Next month.
Yeah, and then we're having our statewide conference at Sac State. So anyway,
so you got all that going. Wow.
Yeah. So, but one of the conferences, we had this gentleman come, and he did a keynote, and he spoke on this book called "Search Inside Yourself," and I forgot who the author was, but I know originally the author was an engineer at Google, and so Google. He was an engineer, and somehow or another he either was learned meditation, or I forgot his full story. But Google asked him, "Hey, I see that you really are knowledgeable on emotional intelligence. Do you think you can give a seminar to some of our people? Because we're recognizing that our people are kind of going a little crazy, like, and they don't know how to regulate their emotions. So basically, this gentleman, after doing that for years, wrote this book called Search Inside Yourself. And it was probably the first book that I ever picked up in regards to emotional intelligence and really looking inside yourself. And that was probably like 2016. And that's what got me started on learning a lot about, again, social emotional learning, awareness,
Self-healing.
roots of self-healing, roots of problems, our nervous systems, how when those are out of whack, everything else is out of whack. So yeah, so that got me spiraling into just the mental health world and all of that.
I feel like I just recently kind of started to really recognize that side of it over the last couple of years as well. That we have the wristbands,
Okay.
right? Mental health awareness. I didn't even know there was a color.
Okay.
Apparently,
I didn't either.
lime green is the color. So you know how breast
pink.
breast cancer is pink.
Yeah.
So mental health is lime green.
Oh,
So I got these
wow.
wristbands, and we have this thing now called Mental Health Mondays.
Yeah.
So the first Monday of each month at our school, the teachers who want to participate and the staff members will wear this as a nonverbal cue, like, "Hey, I'm aware of the struggle, and I'm someone that you can come to." And so,
that's awesome.
having a new appreciation for that, it was kind of like I grew up; it was optional.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you go to the gym or you eat right for the physical health, mental health, figure it out, suck it up, right, Jim?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Walk it off.
Throw
Walk
some,
it off.
throw some dirt on it.
Yeah, sure.
And that was the approach we had. We didn't know any better. Our parents didn't know. I didn't realize till after like college that I was depressed at one point in high school because I was looking at the list of things like, yep,
Yeah.
sleeping all day, loss of appetite. It was all there. And I was like,
sure.
I didn't know it had a label. To me, it was
Right,
just like
right.
going through a tough time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so now, that you're where you're at now in regards to being mentally aware. I see you taking on some new things in your life, new challenges, and you always have this alternate. I'm like, what is she doing now? What's the meaning?
Yeah.
So one thing that I saw you doing, and I wanted you to break this down for the crew,
Yeah.
is you're walking into a sauna
Yes.
and you're doing additional work to physically exert yourself.
Right.
And just sweating it all out.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So, well, to what point? You want me to talk about the exercise or what got me into the sauna or?
Both.
Okay. So yeah, basically I was married for another time, second time.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
How did I miss that one?
I don't know. A lot of people miss that.
When was that?
That was July of 2022. We got married. Yeah. And he has a lot of different mental issues happening.
Do you feel like
deep
there's something
down.
that draws you to that type of individual? Do you feel like you're a helper or?
Yeah, that probably. Yeah. And
All subconscious, I'm
love,
sure.
love bombing is real too. I mean, so I don't know. I again, without
Wait, define love. Do you know this one, Jim?
Yeah,
love bombing?
Okay.
Define that for
So
us.
basically, when you meet somebody and they're just all about you, like they love every single thing about you. They almost like mirror you. The same ideals, the same wants and needs, and all of this stuff. It's just like you. Like they basically become your Princess Charming or your Prince Charming, like really very quickly.
Yeah.
But it's all for eventual manipulation and.
So it's like stalking.
Not stalking, no, because the other person is like very well aware that they're there and loves it and wants
Open
to
to it.
engage, open to it and stuff. And so it's not so much stalking, but just really being at least on the receiver's end, they're just thinking like, oh my gosh, this is like Prince Charming, like wow, like the love of my life is like here, like how did I get so lucky? But in reality, it was to kind of get them in on a hook, so that later on they can just in a way use and abuse you.
I think there's movies out like that.
Yeah,
Like Sleeping with the Enemy. Have you ever seen that movie?
No, I've heard about it though, but like
That's a Julia Roberts
Yeah,
one?
Julia Roberts.
yeah.
Wow.
So
At what point do you start to realize, wait,
There's a click somewhere.
yeah, there's a click
Switch.
somewhere. Yeah, when again when me so a part of this type of way. So one of the books I'll read in it without saying what exactly is going on with this person. I there's a book called Psychopath Free. And
Damn.
yeah, so psychopaths don't have any empathy or remorse, and everything's about them. And they need consistent validation and stuff like that. And they need things to go
Is this like narcissistic?
right, narcissism. Yes.
Narcissism,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And so everything has to just be perfect, and everybody has to be in agreement with that person, and that, you know, as long as everybody's happy and smiling and, oh, you're great, that person is just fine. And so can maintain the love bombing, can maintain a happy life. But as soon as somebody doesn't agree, which of course nobody's ever going to agree, or, you know, or goes against what that person thinks is right, then the world starts shifting. Or if there's somebody like in our case, in our family, we have my little girls, you know, they were all about this person. They loved him, met him when they were young. But my oldest daughter was always kind of looking at him side eye and always had respect, but never fell for it in a way, I guess. And that always kind of triggered him. And it was like, oh gosh, you know, she doesn't think I'm the world's greatest everything. So let me try to separate her from everybody else. So it was just a mess of stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, it just started getting progressively worse and worse and worse for, I guess, basically all of like last academic year, I suppose, until there was just until essentially I had to choose between my daughter and this person. And of course I'm going to choose my daughter all day long. And there was a big blow up, and again, there's too many details to go into, but anyhow, he ended up basically walking away like, as if we never existed. So psychopaths, again, and that there's a genre, there's three categories. So like narcissists, sociopaths, and
I didn't know there was
something else. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Anyway, but they're again, no remorse. So basically they just walk away from you, and it's almost like nothing ever happened. Like, because instead of facing their own shame about things, they would rather just basically turn away and start something new. So like literally it was like, I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh, I have no idea who you are. Bye. Like, you know, and so it's like the rug got pulled out of, 100% light switch. And so that was traumatic. That happened in February. That light switch turned off in February. And my world just shattered for a while. I was crawling to the end of the semester. But then over the summer, I was just like, okay, well, I have to start accepting the fact that this is not going to be anything what it was. Like that, despite the fact that we had a whole life, like this entire life, like it's just not going to be, it's not the life anymore. So, I'm like, all right, well, and again, as soon as we could accept, you know, some of these harder things, it's like the faster we can start healing, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. It's like, all right, this is what it is. And so, all right, Amelia, like, let's go. And again, I always go to exercise and learning something new to help me heal. And so this Hot Works in Modesto started popping up everywhere. And there are these little saunas.
What's the temperature inside?
130 degrees.
So you go in 130 and you get on a bike.
I get on a bike.
And how long are you going?
So every session is 15 minutes.
Yeah, it can't be too long.
Yeah, no. So I do 2 sessions in there at least, and then I'll go to another sauna and I'll do like either like some sort of mat workout or like
everything's sauna based.
Everything's sauna based, 130. Yeah. So I'm sweating like drenched. But in the meantime, while I'm doing this, I'm listening to books. So I'm audibles or whatever. So I'm listening.
The headphones can survive the temperature.
You know what's cool about it is because these are it's like a new setup in a sense. I'm pretty much the only one in the sauna. So there's really only 3 people that can be allowed to go in at once.
Yeah.
But because it's so new, there's not a crazy amount of members. So I'm in there by myself. So it's great. So I just have it on my phone listening out loud and really listening to learn about what happened to me essentially, or even just this type of character and stuff, just so I can like really start coming to terms with what happened.
It's almost like you have to step outside of yourself, right?
Yeah.
And see it and then go, oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's exactly what I did. So through all
Stepping
of these
outside of
books is
yourself.
stepping outside. Yeah, exactly. And
Jim, do you think you're good at that? I don't think I'm very good at it.
Yeah.
Like I'm so emotional and so connected to what I'm doing.
Right.
It's really hard for me to like become an observer of my actions.
Sure.
Can you do that?
No, I do it a lot. I really have some really deep thoughts about myself from the outside.
Yeah.
And I sometimes I'll talk to Les about it or whatever. And she's like, where in the heck are you getting that? And I'm like, what if, or what ifs?
Yeah.
That's a gift. That's a gift.
Yeah, it's really,
It's hard to separate.
It's stressful too, because sometimes I get myself so worked up into a what if that I'm realizing, okay, I need to step back into myself and realize like, okay, no, I'm good, but yeah. So it's hard. I'd have to explain to you sometimes when I'm having a.
Yeah. Let's put Jim over here.
Yeah, right. I know.
gotta
He
hear
needs
this,
to
Jim.
he needs to be in the seat.
So,
But, yeah.
okay. So now you are doing the sauna thing.
Yeah.
And then you get into
Learning.
something called copywriting.
Yeah.
How did you find that?
Yeah. So my daughter, my oldest daughter is freshman in college, excuse me.
Yeah.
And my husband just left me. So I'm just like, okay, great. Right. I'm going to need some more income, and despite being a doctor or being a professor, like I'm not making $1 million,
Yeah.
So I'm like, how can I capitalize on my brain basically more, and what can I do so that I'm not necessarily reinventing my entire wheel or my entire existence, but get into a field that is very highly profitable, and then along the same, I guess, within the same realm of what I've already do or have experience in. And so I got into copywriting, and I had been learning about it just kind of here and there, and maybe Googling like side hustles for educators or side hustles for, whatever, just trying to figure out little ways to supplement my income, but not
I'm laughing
fully.
a little bit because I got to
Yeah.
tell you how far off I
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Jim, wait, hold on. Jim, do you know what it is? Copywriting? You want to throw a guess?
Like plagiarizing, right? But
Okay, so see,
Right?
this is what I thought it was.
Yeah.
This is what I thought you were doing.
Uh-huh.
I thought you were like, hey, so-and-so, Amelia, I have this logo.
Uh-huh.
Can you help me protect it from
Oh,
getting
right.
stolen by other
Yeah,
people?
yeah, sure.
Can you copyright this for
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
That's what I thought you were doing. So,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah. Watch.
So
she'll
that's
tell you.
copyright. That copyright is COPYRIGHT.
This is different.
Yeah. And then my copyright is COPY. So it's copy. So I write copy. Therefore, I'm a copywriter. And so what copy is basically the words that sell the things. So in any sort of advertisement, people need to write copy, which would be the words that get the buyer to buy the things.
So it's buyer psychology, verbalized.
Yeah, exactly.
See,
so,
I was way off.
Yeah.
I was with you.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to swallow that. It's so you're writing art. You're writing what? What do you write?
So basically I write ads.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're using the verbiage that are keywords that
Yeah.
stimulate people's interest in the product.
That exactly, or like presenting the benefits first, how it's going to benefit them, or if it's a sales email, it might be like presenting the problem, the pain, and the solution. So like
It's breaking it
identifying
down.
the problem.
So there's a recipe to
Oh,
this.
there's recipes. Yeah.
I need the recipe.
Oh, yeah. And then providing, like making sure that the unique selling proposition is out front, that we're selling. So I think there, and I'm hopefully I get it right, but there's a copyright saying that's like you're not selling the steak, you're selling the sizzle. Like just like that, like, ooh, look at that, it's sizzling, and you can smell it. Like, you're not even, you haven't even tasted it yet, but you want that because of the sizzle. And
I'm sorry. It's
okay.
because my background's broadcast. Background is broadcasting, but it's also in advertising.
Yes.
So it's interesting that you're saying things that are totally, because in a visual term. So for example, and correct me if I'm wrong, the reason we use 99 cents is because the 99 cents is lower than the actual value of the dollar. So if you sell something for $2.99, your mind is telling you it's $2.99 instead of seeing the 3 and the 00. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it stimulates
Immediately
your
it's like,
mind,
oh,
making you think it's cheaper than really what it is. But yes, it's a penny less.
right.
Yeah.
Ish, right? So is that kind of
That's 100% what it
Okay,
is.
all right.
So copywriting is very much, it's not just the writing part, but it's very much the marketing side of things.
I'm
too,
fascinated
and
by that
I've never met
advertising.
anyone that did that.
Yeah,
That's
so it's
interesting.
really interesting, and so I tell my mom, and I'm like, it's a whole new world, like because I'm used to education terms, and stuff, and so learning marketing and learning copywriting, like there's a whole There's
So
just,
is there a book you would recommend our viewers to check out to get started in something like this? Because I'm like, I want to check out some copywriting.
yeah, there's a copywriter's handbook. There's a guide to the content
Are these on
copywriting.
what do you call it?
Audible,
Not Audible, yeah.
they're all on
I'm an Audible
Audible.
guy.
Yeah, but you know what I love to do is I have them on Audible so I could listen to them, but then I have the hard copy too because I like to take notes,
Yeah.
and do all that. There's another, so there's another woman called Bernadette Jiwa, I think she's from New Zealand, and she talks about marketing, and she's amazing about just how to sell your products, and essentially what we all want to do, and same thing goes for you, is
Branding.
we want branding, and we want to present ourselves as the expert in our market and stuff. And look, when it comes to, so whatever your niche is here with the podcast or whatever you're trying to sell, you want to be seen by the masses as the expert in
authority in that area.
in that area. Yeah. And so a lot of the content then that you'd want to put out is going to present you as the authority in that area. And being that you're, the free content is amazing, but let's say, so my target audience, my niche is in the educational space. So if you are, I call it educational creatives, but if you're an educational consultant, an educational programmer, curriculum writer, if you're a content creator in the educational space, that's that's my customer avatar, right? Like that's who I'm gearing for, right? And stuff. And so what that means is I'm trying to help them produce things, whether again, it's on Instagram or email or whatever, that's going to present them as the expert in their field. So that when people go and look them up or search anything, bilingual educator or something like that they will come up in Instagram and then make sure that their content is valuable enough to where people are going to keep going back to them to look at their content because it's so good. And yes, it's free, but the idea is when you're offering so much free value free value, that somebody's going to be like, dang, if she or he's offering that for free, what would they offer if I paid them?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I've fallen for that multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
James Clear.
Okay.
Atomic Habits.
Yes.
And he had a newsletter. And
That's it.
Very valuable newsletter.
Yes.
And guess what I did? I bought the book.
Yep.
Physical and Audible,
Yes.
because I was like,
Yes.
man, these little gems. Imagine what the book has.
Exactly. And that's the exact point.
There it
and
is.
And so even that newsletter, if he probably didn't write that newsletter, a copywriter wrote that. And so, so that's what I do too. So again, copywriters, we don't just, so we could write headlines, we could write like banner ads, like whenever, ads that you see on the side of
So
your
you're
email.
you're like the consultant for these people.
Yeah, I'm the consultant, and then I can be, and then like the writer. So if they say, oh, okay, we're trying to sell this product, can you write us a sales page or whatever sales pages?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And then I figure out again who their target audience is, what their primary pain point is, and then basically offer the solution by way of this particular person's product, whatever it is. So a part of marketing too is like, are they content marketing? So, all of these people that have even, narcissism blogs or narcissism Instagram pages or whatever, right? Like they're coming out with some awesome content, and that content is driving people to go and pay for their consulting services or whatever, right? And so anyhow, copywriters also help, like again, the content writing. So they're helping creators make the blogs or make the newsletters and stuff like that. Just to add to their content portfolio.
So does this play out like, let's say like a YouTube channel, right? Like what we have here.
Scripts.
They'll be like, hey, here's a good episode.
Yeah.
Here's a script for this episode.
Yes.
Follow this and you will create authority in your field.
Yes.
They do that.
We're script writers too.
So does it work? Is this like a thing where you get hired per project?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, hired per project. So there are copywriters. So like big businesses, let's say, big companies have their own in-house copywriters.
So like Nike, Sony.
Yeah, they have their own in-house.
Google, Yahoo.
Yeah. And not that a freelance copywriter couldn't get a job like that, but chances are they're going to put you on a salary, put you on a payroll and stuff like that.
And you become an employee
and then
of...
you become an employee of whomever. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Of whoever it is. But a freelance copywriter, yeah, like we get paid by the project.
And how do they find you?
So that's it. So basically, we market ourselves in the same same way, in the same tools, you know, and stuff. And so I'm slowly trying to plan out, you know, my content that I'm putting out there about marketing. But again, my niche is marketing in the educational space. So it's like, you know, trying to market to coaches and things that are really trying to lift or I guess elevate their status in the educational space and stuff. But
that is really cool.
Out.
How long you been doing that, the copywriting?
So, well, literally, I mean, I just started learning in July. The moment that I walked into that sauna is like, actually, no, you know what? No. Basically, I would say about a month and a half after that my ex-husband walked out on us, I guess, or the second ex-husband. Oh my God, that sounds so horrible. But that guy walked out.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I have to figure out money now. I mean, again, not that I make good money, thankfully. And again, for people who are going through it, I'll go back to the fact that I feel so lucky that I got my education. I'm in a stable place. I have a great career. I own my own home. Nobody else's name is on that home.
Wow.
And so, you know, I am set. So thankfully, when he walked out on me, it wasn't like, oh my God, like where am I going to go? It was just like, okay, well, I was used to this income and now I'm going to have to make up for it. But so people, wherever I'm looking or whatever, get your money right first, you know, and become independent, especially, you know, women, because that way you don't have to be in a shitty situation if you don't want to be.
It's funny that I just, for a second, my mind went elsewhere. I'll tell you just backstory. Jim, did you know I coached football for a little while when I was in Santa Clarita, Golden Valley Grizzlies, right?
Yeah.
And there was this kid, Deshaun, on our team. His mother has since passed, bless her. But she would go to the games, right? And whenever he'd be in the game, she had a saying, and she'd be like, "Get your money, man."
Oh, how
right?
cute. Yeah,
and we
yeah,
even
yeah.
made, when she was fighting cancer, and we had a big poster, and it was in gold. It said, "Get your money."
Yes.
When you said that,
so,
it just had that
so
flashback.
you just had that flashback, but
Get your money. I think E40 does that, right?
Probably. I love him, but yeah.
So you had to figure that out.
So I had to figure that out. So basically, I started.
Here's the thing that I admire.
Yeah.
You didn't let any sort of doubt or hesitation.
Yeah.
It was just very methodical.
Yeah, I had no choice. I mean, I think that's like somebody. I think one of my best friends asked me like how I didn't fall, or like not literally, but you know, like just basically curl up in a ball and like freak out. You know, it's like I don't have that luxury. You know, I don't like financially, in a sense, I don't have that luxury. I'm not rich to where I could just stop working and my girls will be taken care of. It doesn't work that way. And I have these little girls I have to take care of. So I can't stop, you know, there's no way I don't have the luxury of having a breakdown or doing whatever. So it was just like, okay, you know, of course I cried. I actually was with my mom and dad for a couple of weeks at their house. All of us were, just kind of like licking my wounds, you know, whatever. But then, I was like, all right, as soon as I kind of got through those couple of weeks and, you know, again, still crawling through the end of the semester. I'm not going to say.
In the middle of the school year.
The middle of the school year. I was like, all right, well, here's now of any time is the good time to start this copywriting business because, I'm going to have to make up or supplement my income from what I essentially lost.
Did you partner with a company or this is your own
No,
thing?
this is my own doing. So I started my LLC this past summer. And stuff. So it's Westside Custom Copy. So I live in the west side of Modesto.
We're going to put that on the link for this episode.
Yeah, thank you. So anyhow, I live in the west side of Modesto. I love where I live. It's quote unquote the hood for everybody else.
West
I
side?
love it. Yeah, that's right. And so, but I love my house. I've cultivated it in the same way I've cultivated myself, I feel like. And so I'm like, okay, this is it. This is what's going to be called Westside Custom Copy. And so anyhow, it's my own business. So everything is just, it's everything that I invest in it is just my own dollars and cents and my own time. just to try to grow it steadily,
And you have some clients coming in?
Yeah, just got a first one. My goal was to get my first client in September, by the end of September, and I got him a couple weeks ago.
Congratulations.
And so
Nice
it's exciting. Yeah.
Oh, forgot my audience is here.
Thank you. Yes, that's right. So
Thank you, audience.
It's cool, but again, but then also just doing proof of concept with my own things, finding time to do that. I'm trying to implement proof of concept with the nonprofit I run, but it's hard. My mom was like, "Ay, mija, like I wish you didn't have to work so hard," but I was like, "Mom, one, I'm building a business, Mom, and at certain point, I don't want. It's not going to be this way because the goal is for me to do this full time." And to just generate enough money for myself to just do this, full time and not really even go back to the classroom. I probably would still stay teaching my college classes, but that day, the high school day, that's the goal that'll be eliminated. And not that I don't like what I do, I really do love those kids. I love them to death.
We can tell.
Yeah, but thank you. This is just a new chapter. It's like a new challenge.
Yeah.
It's again, and kind of continuing to invest in myself, and then also being free. Like I want to travel. I want to be wherever. Actually, even go visit my daughter at the University of Hawaii and be there and make money there and not worry about having to come back to a job and stuff like that. So.
It almost sounds like you've taken your own advice as far as learning new tricks of the trade to get yourself off your mind off the other things that have happened in your life.
Yeah, basically.
And don't underestimate how this is going to benefit your classroom students as well as your kids at home, because they're watching all this.
Yeah.
Say, hey, every time Mom hits some type of adversity, she has a response.
Yeah.
I always tell my kids at school that we all have those things they get sick of after a while, right? And mine is, hey guys, it's one thing to tell you about things that I'm learning from a textbook. It's another to live them.
Yeah.
So I always tell my kids about taking risks, putting yourself out there, being uncomfortable. And I tell them I'm uncomfortable all the time. Obviously, I have my comfort zone in the classroom, but outside the classroom, right, we're in front of a camera, we're figuring this thing out. We're doing the nonprofit work. We're falling on our faces sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
And so we're not just talking about it, we're living it. I know Jim will take some of our episodes and talk to his kids, say, hey guys, look, you see this angle I did here on a actual thing, awesome. Content that we're putting out? This is not a textbook. This is real life in motion.
Right.
So we're not just talking about it, we are being about it.
That's right.
They're seeing all this.
Talk about it, be about it.
Your daughters are going to be like, wow, okay, well, every time Mom has adversity, she finds a way out.
Yeah.
And she just goes for it.
And I just go for it. Yeah. And
that's powerful.
Yeah. It is. My students see it too. When all this happened, starting in February, so my kids become my family, or our students, they become our family, and they share with me and I share with them. And not that I didn't break down every day or anything like that, or nor did I express what was happening on a daily basis. I didn't keep them like daily reports, nothing like that. But I took a week off of school. Like it knocked me down. So, but when I came in, everybody was worried, and of course, and the kids wrote me letters, all these things, and they didn't know at that point. But when I finally went back, they could see in my face I had lost a lot of weight too. And they're just like, what happened? So I told them the truth. I said, this is what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And they, even just all of what they would say to me after, just like, Miss Herrera, like, we know that, we're just young kids and we don't have, there's not a lot we can say to help you, but we just see you and going through it, but you show up for us every day.
Every day.
Yeah. And anyway, they took a lot of value from that. So it makes me cry because those are proud moments when I can be that person for the kids to just, again, even though a lot of what I've went through does not necessarily equate to some of the things they've seen in war-torn countries. There's depths of pain that I've had to deal with that are at somewhat similar levels. So even though the pain is different. And so, but real. If I can show them how to metabolize that pain literally and physically, I guess, or literally and figuratively, thank you. It's a win for me, if they can learn from my pain, or if they can learn from what I've gone through so that they don't have to do it themselves, even if it is with a relationship or whatever, then I'm good with sharing that part of me.
Well, thank you for having the courage to be transparent. That is not easy.
Yeah.
And I'm overwhelmed by what you were willing to share today.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's where we benefit from. We don't benefit from the superficial facade of what the reality is.
Right.
I think it's moments like this where our viewers, your students, my students, our children benefit to go, oh, wow, mom's not superhuman.
Yeah.
But she finds ways to get around those moments, and she's not afraid to be vulnerable.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I'm not afraid, to admit my mistakes and my faults, and even with this, my desire again or my thought that my girls need a father figure, and not jumping crazy and not crazy fast, but faster without really looking through all of the red flags or seeing them as red flags, like really even admitting to my girls, like, dang, my quest to have this family or have a father figure for you like really blinded me and stuff. And just again, and I think what's helped me through and helped my oldest daughter too to get through things is just me, in a sense, admitting where I went, not admitting, but like recognizing where I went wrong in my thought process. And then being like, shoot, that's where I went wrong in my thinking right there. And moving forward, I'm not going to do that. And moving forward, if you're in this situation, I don't want you to think, make that move. Yeah. And but really coming to them with a genuine place, because because it affected my girls, of course, but it's also like none of this was out of malice, on my end, and stuff. And so. Even their dad, nothing was out of malice. Me keeping him around, it was really out of love, but just really not recognizing how sometimes too much love, I guess, in a way, right? It ended up being toxic situation. So really being forthright with my errors in a sense, and not because I'm self-loathing or anything like that, but just so that as you talk about transparency, just so that they can learn from my transparency, and also them to see I'm not a dumb woman, and in any aspect, I'm not dumb, I'm not weak, but there are moments that we don't make great decisions or we can't see through things because we're blinded by whatever. And so for them to be able to learn through my trials and tribulations, to me, it's what it's about. And I know it's helped.
Everything.
Yeah.
I think, wow. I think back now to all the struggle and the pain and mistakes throughout my life. They've all now been given meaning because I'm able to share them with my classroom students and my kids at home. Whereas at the time I was like, why me?
Right.
Why am I making these decisions?
Yeah.
And now it all makes sense. It's like, okay, well, you had to experience it to be able to translate that for someone else to understand.
Right.
So that hopefully, our kids are better for it.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. I know, I actually just posted today. So an Instagram account I have is called Rooted. So root plus ed, like, right. So getting so educate, like getting to the root of your stuff.
That's
it's a
catchy. Copywriter.
Yeah. It's a social emotional learning Instagram page. And so I do meditations there, but also little advice things. And one of the things I had posted there, but I reposted it today, was called Hustle Healthy. And so it's like all of us are hustlers in some way, but are we doing it in a way that's sustainable? Are we eating right? Are we exercising? Are we reflecting? Are we enjoying our lives? But a part of that is like so much of us sometimes when we get in these like ruts or whatever, we turn to things that are not going to help us progress or get out of it, right? We turn,
alcohol,
just
drugs,
I mean, there's a laundry list of gambling,
vices,
who knows, vices, And I'm thankful that I've never turned to those things. I've turned to positive things like exercise and learning and getting another degree or something of some sort. And in this case, learning copywriting and stuff. And so I like to be able to, for all of the things that I post, let's say for my students, because I started the page when COVID hit because I would be meditating with my students prior to COVID. And then when we stopped, I just was like, well, let me go ahead and continue this through distance learning and stuff. So
Meditation.
Yeah, meditation.
Wow.
Yeah. But meditation with like a little bit of advice in the front. And so one of the meditations was to hustle healthy, right? And so it was like, yeah, we all have our grind, but how do we do it in a way that we can keep up with it? And so I don't want to do anything or preach anything that I haven't done on my own. And so, again, it's not to diss people that do turn to those other things or whatever. Everybody has their reasons why.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just always been working out and learning something new. And what's so funny is Pellegrino is my water of choice.
Oh, is that the green bottle?
Yeah, it's a green bottle.
Sparkling?
It's my drink,
Is it sparkling
water?
water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my drink of choice, right? I take it. I love
Pellegrino.
it. It's bougie. I get it. I do drink tap water though. I will, and people think that's nasty too. But anyway.
You drink out of the tap, Jim?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't
Really?
mind it. Yeah, but
I live on a well though, so
Oh,
so
okay.
it's pure.
nice,
yeah,
yeah.
ours.
So it's
Yeah.
fresh.
backdoor bougie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still bougie.
Backdoor
Just
bougie.
doesn't
I like
look
that.
like it.
I like that. But yeah, so I buy this Pellegrino by the bulk basically. But what's funny is I'm like, for as healthy in a sense, that's pretty much all I drink. I don't drink soda
Good
or
for
juice or milk pretty much or Pellegrino. But when I go to throw out the bottles, oh boy, do I sound like a raging alcoholic.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here's
rattling.
this person, I'm just like, hustle healthy, drink water. And then I'm going and I sound just like, oh my gosh.
And the neighbor's like,
Like
damn.
that, yeah.
You're not inviting, girl? What's
Yeah,
up?
right. And because I mean, literally, and for a while, and I'm not sure what happened to Pellegrino or the shipping or the stock in Modesto, but forever they were plastic bottles. I mean, like the 40 ounce were actually even there. I don't even know how old or how many ounces, but at least like 30 to 40 ounces, but plastic bottles. But now they're only glass. So I'm just like, okay, but I sound horrible. I'm like, like throwing all my million bottles of water away. So,
I never thought about that. The glass is the alcohol.
The glasses, yeah. Exactly. So I'm like, oh my gosh. But I make a joke with my girls about it all the time. I'm like, here I go. Here's your raging alcoholic mom throwing away her bottles. But literally, they're just
Hustle healthy.
Hustle healthy.
This is what it sounds like.
This is what it sounds like. Yeah. So,
Oh my
but
God.
it's just
Man, well, thank you for
recycling
sharing
bin.
your journey with us.
Yeah.
We want to hustle healthy.
Yes.
We want to follow you, and we're going to put your Instagram link on there as well because I
Okay.
feel like you have a lot of great things to offer,
Yeah. Thank
especially with your
you.
experience. Thank you for sharing all that you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel grateful to be related to
Yeah,
you.
likewise.
An amazing cousin.
Likewise. So are
Herrera
you.
family.
Yeah.
And,
we got a cool family.
Until next time,
That's right.
right? We'll be back here. Maybe we'll get part 2
Yeah.
of Dr. Amelia Herrera
Thank
here on
you.
RobLive. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, thank
Don't
you for
forget to
having me.
like, to subscribe, to follow Amelia on her Instagram as well. And if you need a copywriter, I know a good one.
Yep. I'm your girl.
Until next time, guys. Love, peace, chicken grease.
Oh.
RobLive. We out.